Hey everybody, Wienerfied.com here, formerly known as the Midnight Riders. I wanted to do a quick episode today about something that's been bothering me. So first of all, if you got kids or anything, make sure to, if you don't want them to hear cuss words and stuff, get them out of the room. So 31 days ago, okay, we're talking just a little over a month ago, I was on Facebook and I noticed this dude's post that he had. I'm not going to mention the name of this guy or anything like this, but this dude obviously has a business where he helps people with what he calls a porn addiction. And so I got onto his thread or his post or whatever, and I basically said, look, man, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. First of all, there's no such thing as a porn addiction. And second of all, real men watch porn. And as everyone knows, my whole philosophy here with the emasculation of men. So anyway, I proceeded to tell this guy how real men watch porn. I dropped my Rumble link and everything down there for him to watch some videos about how to become a real man and everything. And it started this long debate, and basically I got put into Facebook jail for 30 days, like always. Man, I'm telling everybody, it's almost a blessing in disguise. I don't even attempt not to behave on Facebook because it's actually so much of a blessing when I get put into Facebook jail. You'd be amazed at how much better it is to wake up every day knowing that you can't get onto Facebook. I mean, it's actually very refreshing, but I digress. So anyway, this person and myself got into a pretty heated debate, and I called him a pansy and all kinds of stuff. And then obviously other emasculated wieners jumped in and started, talking about how, I'll read a couple of comments here just real quick. And again, I won't identify these people, but so one guy says, Ken was trying to sell his book if you click the link he posted. And I respond back to this guy, and I'm like, dude, man, no shit. I'm always trying to sell something, whether it's my podcast or my book or something. Anyway, that dude's a fucking genius. This other guy responds. He says, this other guy, man, I don't even know if I want to even read some of these. This other guy says, if porn makes you masculine, then I'd like to ask you, what is porn? Because if you look at the stats, in most cases it's girls being used and profit being made off shameful experience they faced, usually by coercion or force. For a guy to take pleasure in seeing his neighbor abused in this way, especially if he's gone overseas and fought for her freedom, seems more like her enemy than a real man. So, I responded to him in my normal fashion of basically telling him to go suck a dick. But, basically my response to this is, first of all, in today's world, I am absolutely not advocating for any type of sex trafficking, any type of coercion, or any type of forced activity whatsoever. And if you know somebody that is in a situation like that, you need to do whatever it takes to get them out of that. I'm a firm believer that sex traffickers should be shot on sight. I do not agree with anybody being forced to do anything pornographic or sexual whatsoever. So that's my first response to that. This guy should be kicked right in his fucking hairless nuts, because I'll tell you what, as somebody who's actually spent a portion of my life in law enforcement and before that in the military trying to defend freedoms, I absolutely do not advocate for any type of sex trafficking, coercion, or force. But the fact is that in today's world, women have actually made very lucrative careers out of voluntary pornography, right? And especially with the invention of, private cameras or whatever you call these things, body cams or whatever that, these girls, they're paying their way through college with this. They're doing all kinds of things. And it's not by force. They're actually making very lucrative, almost careers out of it, really. You know, back in the old days when it was, you know, the strippers and that kind of stuff that were all the big talk. Nowadays, I mean, you can go online and you can talk to girls all over the place, and they're not being forced into this. And there is no stat that backs that up. There's absolutely zero statistics that back up this idea that these girls in porn are usually shameful or that they've experienced something caused by coercion or force. In fact, statistics actually show that there's just as many women who enjoy watching porn as there are men. So anyway, that's just one stupid ass comment. This other dude says, damn, I fought in a war and I'm not spreading uneducated toxicity around. How did I manage this? So obviously I responded to him and basically said, dude, if you had to even use the word uneducated toxicity, then you really are a fucking... you really are a pussy. It's that simple. If any man uses the word toxicity, they need to learn how to grab a hold of their nuts and figure out what it means to be a real man. So anyway, this other guy says, one guy says here, boys watch porn and have sex outside of marriage. Men respect and protect women and serve their families. So, you know, my response to that was, who told you that? The Catholic priest that touched you in your naughty parts when you were a kid? No, seriously, who told you that? Because they should be kicked in the nuts for being stupid, and you should be kicked in the nuts for repeating this kind of nonsense. Of course men should respect and protect their women and serve their families. Of course. What the fuck does that have to do with watching porn or having sex outside of marriage? You do realize that those are two separate issues, right? So anyway, these people on Facebook, right, these keyboard warriors are always quick to jump into things. But this prompted me to have a video about, you know, is porn good or bad? And really, why does our society hate it so badly? What is it about it that they think is so degenerative? Now, again, I'm not talking about, you know, any type of sadistic shit. I'm not talking about, you know, pain or, you know, any of that type of stuff. I'm not. There are some people out there who have some pretty sick shit going on in their minds, and I really think that a lot of those people need help. But I'm talking about just regular porn, you know, just regular, you know, guy-girl, you know, kind of thing. You know, in all honesty, I don't really watch a lot of porn, but when I do, my favorite porn is always guy, you know, one guy with 2 or 3 girls. I mean, you know, obviously I follow that kind of lifestyle as it is anyway, so that's my favorite type to watch because that reminds me of what actually goes on in my bedroom. So I think, and here's the thing, let me just get straight up into this. So I got this article off of Insider.com titled Porn Addiction. So here we go. You know, here again, I look at everything from a scientific perspective, right? I look at everything through psychology, sociology, or biology. I don't really have a lot of time to take on the theological arguments, but when I do, I like to introduce some science and some common sense into that discussion. So, this article starts off by saying porn addiction is not a true addiction, according to the American Psychological Association. Social, cultural, and religious values may lead some to view their pornography habits as addictive. If watching porn disrupts or negatively impacts your daily life or relationships, then obviously people should seek therapy or, you know, get some kind of help. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. Okay, so viewing erotic content like porn and pornographic images is on the rise. In 2019 alone, one of the world's leading porn sites, which is Pornhub, received on average 115 million visits per day. All that free, readily accessible on-screen erotic content has got some folks thinking that they're addicted to it. But is porn addiction real? Let's keep going down. All right, is pornography addictive? Pornography addiction is not recognized by the American Psychological Association as a mental health problem or disorder, like drug or alcohol addiction. Moreover, according to the DSM-5, which is the Manual of Mental Disorders and the world's authoritative guide on psychological disorders, pornography and sex addictions are not a psychological disorder. Some disorders the DSM-5 does recognize are addictions to gambling, alcohol, drugs, and most recently online gaming. And I'm going to get into this subject here a little bit too, just for people's information. So remember that word, gaming. The reason for this comes down to neurochemistry. While watching porn may activate similar pleasure circuits in the brain, say something like alcohol or heroin, most experts agree that doesn't mean you can become addicted to watching porn in the same way. That's because addiction to substances, for example, not only activates your brain's pleasure circuits, it actually changes your brain chemistry so that you can no longer release feel-good chemicals like dopamine as effectively without the help of the drug you're addicted to. And as far as researchers can tell, this is not the case for porn addiction. So what's going on instead? The more likely scenario is that porn addiction is more closely related to a type of compulsive, obsessive, or habitual behavior than other substance abuse or addictions. In fact, people develop compulsive, obsessive, and habitual connections to many things in their lives, especially if those things are if they alleviate anxiety or fulfill a sense of longing or loneliness. There's also the fact of the matter that, much like the rest of sexuality, enjoying erotic content is often done in secret and without context. In fact, most of the U.S. has no or purposely incorrect sexual education, especially for young adults. This creates an environment for folks to misunderstand the erotic entertainment they are enjoying. Therefore, what people refer to as porn addiction is essentially a conflict of values that's leading you to think you're addicted. This is coming from PhD Nicole Prouse, who is a neuroscientist and researches sexual psychology, psychophysiology, man, say that damn word 10 times fast, and is a practicing psychologist at Happier Living. For instance, a large 2020 study published by the APA found that people's cultural, moral, or religious beliefs may lead them to believe they are addicted to pornography even if they don't actually watch a lot of porn. If you think you are struggling with pornography, it is most likely that you are actually struggling with a conflict of your own personal values around your sexual behaviors, and not really the porn itself, says the doctor. So here's another fact. They actually have done plenty of neurological studies. So your brain, it increases things like dopamine output and all this kind of stuff when you're addicted to, alcohol or something like that, drugs. But neuroscientists have actually found that with pornography, your brain activity actually decreases. So that's another fact that most people aren't looking at and that they don't understand. It's not an addiction. Okay, now is it a compulsive behavior? Sure. But and I'm not saying that there's not need for counseling if a person is going overboard with it. Right? If a person is having a hard time maintaining relationships, or if a person can't get out of their fantasy world and expects women to perform certain ways, then obviously there's problems with it. But here's the thing: it's not the porn that's the problem, right? It's the person that is needing to find the root cause of why they're thinking the way that they are that's the problem. And so all of these. Again, it's all based on societal norms and religion and cultural aspects. People are kind of trying to blame a problem on something that's not really the problem. Now, with saying this, I'd like to kind of go over some of the benefits of watching porn, and I would like to go over the reason why I said real men watch porn. So, this article comes from thedailyDot.com, and it is titled 11 Unexpected Benefits of Watching Porn. Now, I don't know if I'll go over all 11 of these, but let's start. So the number one thing on this list is it says because it's healthy. All right, so let's read some of this. Despite the many studies claiming that porn is bad for your brain and your relationships, there are just as many studies saying that porn does not affect it does not cause irrevocable harm to the brain or your sex life. In fact, it might even be kind of good for you. In a paper from 2008, two Danish researchers concluded from a survey of 688 Danish adults that porn did not yield any negative mental or health effects. In fact, the researchers found a positive correlation between the subjects' porn viewing and increased sexual satisfaction, as well as self-reported benefits in other areas of their lives. Now, I don't know if y'all watched my video about being a real man or not, but I've actually talked about the health benefits of sex, right? And here again, this is not, all kinds of religious people are going to disagree with this, but there are very well-known health benefits to sexual activity, especially, for men, when you spit out your daddy juice. All right, things like prostate cancer. Right? The more sex that a man has, the lower risk he has for prostate cancer. There's other things that go along with it as well. Psychologically, the more sex men have, the more they feel like real men. Right? And more sex increases your testosterone levels, which we know have a serious effect on men's health. Right? The higher testosterone you have, the better attitude you're going to have, the stronger you're going to be, the healthier you're going to be. There's all kinds of physical attributes. On a female perspective, sex is also good, right? When a woman is getting shot up with daddy juice, this helps her personality, it helps her libido, it helps her, I keep saying this, there are actually genetic things that happen when a woman is imprinted, right? Womb imprinting is basically what it's called. There are biological things that happen to her body. This is why when a woman is with a turd, right? When she's with a retarded guy that is basically a loser, the more he shoots his junk up into her, the more of a loser she becomes too. Okay? And people don't seem to realize this. Biologically, sex is very, very important. There are health benefits to it, and less sex is not good. So right here, the number one thing, watching porn is healthy because it enables people, it makes people want more sex. And that's a good thing. All right, number two. Number two says, because watching porn sometimes it's better than the real thing. All right, so I guess this is where we would start the conversation about spanking those monkeys and doing that kind of thing. This article says some nights you want to get dolled up, put on a freakum dress and pretend to be someone who does not eat food out of the garbage long enough to trick a guy into having sex with you. But you don't always want to put that kind of effort that involves changing out of your pajamas. In lieu of being able to have sex with your Netflix subscription, in which case no one would ever leave the house, free internet porn is the next best thing. I don't disagree with that. In fact, I think it is incredibly healthy. Here again, ejaculation, right, having an orgasm, coming, helps our moods significantly. There is plenty of psychological research. There is plenty of neurological research that backs this up. Having an orgasm, I mean, let's just use, for example, when women are on their periods, right? We know for a fact that masturbation and having an orgasm can severely decrease the cramps that they're having. And so here again, it's a health thing that if more people would just get into the idea of it, it would actually create much more acceptance to this kind of thing. Number 3, because it relieves stress, right? We just kind of talked about this. Life can be stressful, and from my experience, owning a stress ball does not make the complicated twists and turns any easier to deal with. Sure, practicing a few downward dogs and cobras may have helped me find my center, but just like sex, porn decreases stress as well. Here again, we're talking about masturbation. And it actually does. It releases dopamine. Anytime a person is stressed, the best way to de-stress themselves, first of all, is to get their minds off of the problem. And, if you're watching your favorite kind of porn, that's definitely going to do that. So common sense already says that that's a good thing. Number 4 says because it's hilarious. I don't really agree with that. I don't watch porn often with my boyfriend, mostly because we have widely divergent tastes. He likes 10-minute sloppy blowjob clips. I'm a fan of narrative-driven vintage content, particularly if the term X-rated musical fantasy is somewhere in the title. But when we do, we tend to focus less on the action on screen and more on what's going on in the background. So, here again, some porn is pretty funny, and, I guess if that's why you're watching it, then good for you. Number 5, because it could benefit your relationship. Okay, so this is actually an important one. Watching porn with your partner can open both of your minds to new sexual possibilities. My last long-term boyfriend and I did not watch porn together, and once that ended, thank God, I found someone I met more comfortable enough with, making it easier to communicate and have confidence in our sex capades. A lot of porn skews realistic expectations. Well, that's true. All these guys with 12-inch dicks, that's just, that's just not real. But as long as you and your partner set practical guidelines and boundaries, both parties are bound to be satisfied. From the study conducted by Ann Summers, 58% of women who said they watched porn with their significant other said it positively affected their sex life and created a safe space to ask for what they want. When both parties are sexually confident in their relationships, they are probably more committed and less likely to stray. Unless the emotional connection isn't there, but that's a different story. So, I agree with this. Having a healthy sex life with your spouse or with your partner is incredibly important. In psychology, we talk about the 3 contributors to 100% bond, right? We talk about the mental, the emotional, and the physical, right? You cannot truly love somebody if you don't have all 3 of those connections, right? This is technically what we talk about being the difference between our kids compared to our lovers, right? Is with our children, we don't have that third element, or at least we're not supposed to. If you do, then you need to be in jail. But that's the point, is we love our kids more than anything on our earth, and that's just literally based off the mental and the emotional elements. So when we have a partner and we're able to add that physical element, it actually heightens the relationship that much more. And this is the importance of having all 3 of those elements. And if you don't, then it's not a real relationship. Plain and simple. I look back at people like my parents. I don't think my parents probably had sex about once a year, and that was if my dad was, feeling lucky. They just were not sexual beings. They did not believe in the physical connection, and their relationship suffered their entire life because of it. I know that my dad was not a happy man, and I know that my mom was not a happy woman. My mom is still alive, but I guess she's much happier now that my dad is gone. But that's probably because she doesn't have that element of non-satisfaction, right? And it is vitally important for people. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care what type of relationship you're in. I don't care, if you're religious. I don't care if you're whatever. Having that physical element, that sexual element, is incredibly important. We always talk about men being physical creatures and women being the emotional creatures. So you see a lot of women that can handle being in relationships where they don't have that physical element, but men cannot handle that. Men need sex. And here again, there's a lot of biology that goes into this. So I want people to keep that in mind. All right, now number 6 says, because exploring your sexuality is how you find out what you like. Here again, we're going back to these societal conditionings, right? These cultural conditionings where people have been raised to believe that certain things are wrong or certain things are bad. You know, I remember my parents were uber religious. And I remember my dad giving me the sex talk one time where, you know, according to the religion that they grew up in, he believed that it was only appropriate for men and women to do things in the missionary position. And even as a little kid, I was like, man, that sounds pretty fucking boring. Probably the reason my parents only had sex once a year is because they were never willing to open their minds enough to explore and find different things that they actually enjoyed doing. I would like to think that you know, I'm not telling anybody that they have to go too crazy, but I would like to think that if you can turn sex into a good thing in the bedroom, and if both people enjoy it and they enjoy what you're doing, then you're probably going to have a lot more of it. And here again, that goes back to general health, right? Physical and psychological. That goes back to general health. Sex is good. All right, so porn helps you discover new things, right? I mean, I guess, you know, when, you know, again, I'm not telling people that they got to get all kinds of kinky or something, but it is really good to get out there and kind of, you know, see. Most people don't even know some of these things exist. I mean, especially when you're talking about like Tantra and stuff like that. It's all good stuff. Doesn't mean you got to get outside too far of your comfort zone, but it's good to explore. Number 7, because watching porn may decrease aggressive tendencies. So remember when they said that there's just as many studies that say bad things about it as there are. You know, it's kind of like global warming, right? All these scientists that are out there saying that, you know, the world's going to end in 5 years, you know, unless we start driving electric semi-trucks. There's just as many scientists out there that say, no, that's fucked up, it's not true at all. Well, this kind of goes with this number 7, right? Because there's studies out there that claim that watching porn creates aggressive behavior. And there's even one study I saw that says that, you know, out of 800 guys that they, you know, evaluated or some shit like that, that 752 of them displayed aggressive tendencies towards women. Well, now here again, those guys that have that, they're probably already hardwired like that. It really has nothing to do with porn. It's just porn is kind of what's bringing it to the surface. But the hardwiring is already there. And so, number 7, because watching porn may decrease aggressive tendencies, we wouldn't do. Like yell at a server because your favorite restaurant isn't selling the duck confit you've been craving all week. If porn reduces stress, it should also have a correlation to reducing aggressive tendencies. Contrary to the belief that porn causes people to be sexist or commit violent crimes, watching a moderate amount of porn may actually decrease the likelihood of someone committing a sex crime. It's a controversial idea, one that's been researched a lot, and a popular study in the archives of sexual behavior found that watching pornography offers a safe place to express sexual deviant desires. So, here again, I would actually say that it's because of the lack of exposure, and it's actually because of the way that everything is so sexualized in our culture, right? And here again, it goes back to religious beliefs. It goes back to believing that sex is bad, and, you know, people are going to go to hell if they, you know, if they masturbate, right? That was the common thing growing up too. My parents were, oh, don't masturbate. You're going to go to hell for that. It's just not true. Okay, sex, here again, it actually decreases aggressive tendencies. So that's important to remember. Okay, number 8. Because honestly, guys, you could probably learn a thing or two. Well, there again, that goes back to experimenting and seeing new things. Number 9, watching porn may increase your libido. So here again, when we talk about desire and when we talk about the psychology of actually wanting, You know, they say that you know, for women especially, they say that women, you know, a lot of it is hormonal. You know, that they can only be turned on by certain things, right? Women need all kinds of foreplay and all this kind of shit. But I can promise you that it's probably mostly psychological. And here again, I mean, we live in a society that kind of enables this type of feminism. But the truth is that if a person wants to become aroused, then they can probably become aroused. I mean, unless you've got some severe medical condition, I mean, there are certain physical things that can prevent that. But I don't even necessarily agree with ED, right? Erectile dysfunction. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that claim that they have this and they need all kinds of blue pills and shit. But what they probably need is they probably just need to lose about 30 fucking pounds, and they probably just need to, you know, kind of get back on the treadmill and start getting getting their blood flow moving again, and that probably is going to help them. It's going to help them psychologically too, because they're going to be more fit and they're going to feel more attractive. Same thing goes for women. When women aren't turned on, there's usually a psychological reason behind it. There may be a physical element to it, but 9 times out of 10 it's psychological. So, but watching porn will increase your libido. It's going to make you want it. That's the whole point of it. It's enticing you to do that same action because that activity feels good, right? Everybody, well, most everybody enjoys I don't know, maybe my ex-wife didn't, I don't know, but anyway. Number 10, because it's affordable, right? So here again, it's a whole hell of a lot cheaper to watch Pornhub, which is absolutely free, compared to going to a strip club or compared to taking a chick out to dinner or anything like this. Nowadays, porn is very accessible and it's free. And, you know, I mean, it's out there. As long as you got internet access or a smartphone, you can watch it. Oh man, number 11. Because it satisfies your desires. Here again, you are able to pick and choose what you're attracted to, right? So, you know, if you don't want to see a dude throwing a whole bunch of gerbils up his ass, then you don't have to watch that. And I wouldn't recommend that. In fact, I've got a thing here on wienerfight.com about how we need to free the gerbils and save the gerbils, right? If you want to donate to that, go ahead and donate to that cause. I think all gerbils should be free. But the option is there for those kind of people that are into that kind of sick shit. No judgment. It's sick, but no judgment. You have a multitude of different categories when you're watching porn. You can watch soft porn, you can watch hardcore porn. And again, I think it's all okay as long as it's consensual through the actors and as long as nobody's being forced into sex trafficking or any type of thing like that, then there should be no limits, really. I mean, I would say that pedophilia should be off limits. Anybody who does that shit should be arrested and charged. And I would say that bestiality should be off limits. But anything other than that is probably fair game. You know, if you like seeing a chick throw on a strap-on and take it to her dude, then that is your prerogative. It's kind of funny. I remember one time in Iraq, actually, there was one of my colleagues, there was this sergeant, and I won't mention his name, but we always knew that he had a little sugar in his tank, but one day we were all talking about different sexual, sexcapades and all this kind of stuff. And this dude started talking about how he watched this porn video where this chick threw on a strap-on and then pegged this dude in the butt. And this dude was like, man, it turned me on so much I just had to try it. And all of us were like, this was back in the days when they still had don't ask, don't tell. And we were like, dude, man, shut the fuck up. But here's the point. If that's your thing, then it is readily available. Okay, you gotta watch what makes you happy. You gotta watch what makes you feel good. But here's the thing: people should not be ashamed of it. People should not feel like it's a blemish on society, right? Sex is healthy. And when I made this comment to this dude on Facebook about real men watch porn, I'm not saying that every real man, I'm not saying that every alpha out there has to watch porn. I'm just saying that real men understand that porn is not the problem, right? If you've got deviant behavior, Porn is only a catalyst. It's not the root cause. Okay, so that's the point. If you have some sort of a compulsive disorder where you can't stop watching porn and it's ruining relationships, then you need to find the root cause of that problem and you need help. Right? If you're out there trying to hurt people or trying to, create some sort of masochist, type of scenario, then you probably need help. Right? And here again, I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why people have them, right? I mean, people that were molested as kids, or women that were raped, or guys that were raped. There's multiple facets to why some people might have problems, but porn itself is not the problem. And real men understand that watching porn has significant health benefits. It's not something that should be frowned upon, as long as it's done in a healthy way. And as long as the people that you're in relationships with aren't being mistreated or abused or anything like that, there's absolutely nothing wrong with porn. So, I think the thing that always cracks me up, man, is these people that preach the most against it. These are usually the people that have the biggest problems in society, right? It's kind of like anything else. You see a lot of like these religious people that are, oh, porn is the devil's tool and all this kind of stuff. And they're probably the ones that were molesting little kids for their whole fucking life, right? And that's kind of what I'm saying is it always kind of amazes me when people point fingers at stuff that they don't know enough about to be pointing fingers at. Right, and listen, I'm not knocking any religious people out there. I mean, if that's what you truly believe, that that God wants you to have a lustless, crap relationship with your husband or wife. I mean, if that's what you truly believe, then fine. Live a miserable life and be happy just holding hands and shit. That's fine. That is your prerogative. But don't sit here and criticize everybody else if you don't know nothing about it. And for this guy that I got into this argument and got put into Facebook jail for 30 fucking days for, dude, I mean, I hope your business is successful, but you're a wiener. So you really should subscribe to wienerfight.com and watch some of my videos and learn how to become a real man. And that goes out for the rest of you as well. I'm not saying that I'm any more badass than anyone else, but I'm not afraid of things like porn. I can tell you that. So, let me know your thoughts. Everybody can kind of see the new setup that I got with www.wienerfight.com. I'm still primarily on Rumble, and I'll probably keep it that way for a while. We are adding some things to the website daily, right? So pretty soon, I mean, I'm going to have some stickers and some shirts and hats and that kind of stuff that I'll be selling on there. So stay tuned for all of that. Remember to support patriotic companies like MyPillow. And there's so many other ones out there too. I am working on getting some affiliates and maybe some sponsors. And again, I got some great things coming up. So stay tuned, people. This is going to get good. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you next time on wienerfight.com.